a baby. This is kind of crazy. And so it felt like we were like strapped into a roller coaster that was just going, and we had to figure it out. And pack the diaper bags and everything on the roller coaster.
Oh my God. This is the place to ask questions. This is the place to take notes. This is the place to learn strategy. Welcome to the Visible Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Lewis, and this is the podcast you'll love listening to week after week. After a history in Hollywood, I know what it takes to get visible. And as an entrepreneur, you don't have to keep feeling frustrated and trapped, not able to get yourself out there. Myself, my guests, and even my family are here to lift you up, guide you, and give you powerful ideas so that you can get your unique voice into the online space. Ready? Let's do it.
And action.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. This is going to be an awesome episode, and this is someone that I have personally followed for a while in the ClickFunnels space because I've really admired her and what she's put out there, and she's the only person that I know who would attend Funnel Hacking Live in Florida while being pregnant and about to give birth. Like, so freaking brave. And so I really loved watching all of her stuff on social media and like counting down with her going, oh my gosh, when is this going to happen? So welcome to the show, Rachel Pedersen.
Michelle, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be a blast. I'm excited.
I'm really excited too. When you posted that you were, open to coming onto some podcasts, I jumped on it within like 10 seconds because I'm like, I really think that this girl is incredible. So if you haven't heard of Rachel, Rachel is pretty much coined the queen of social media, and she runs Social Works Digital Marketing Agency, is a full-time social media consultant and strategist, and she's the founder of Social Media United. So translate that for us a little bit, Rachel. What does your day-to-day look like, and what have you done to build your online empire?
Absolutely. I'll be totally honest. It's in transition right now. So as you mentioned,
Awesome.
I was 9 months pregnant at Funnel Hacking Live. So as I'm finishing up my final trimester, I've got 2 businesses that I'm working on. And
crazy.
It feels like there's 3 major projects at once. So it's been a process of figuring out what does our day-to-day look like now that we have a 1-month-old. What does that look like? And honestly, there isn't a huge precedent for this. I mean, we see CEOs like Marissa Mayer who brings her 2-week-old, twins into the office. But what does that really look like?
Right.
So in the past, what it looked like is we worked predominantly from our house, which we liked, but then our team started to grow. We have 2 businesses, the agency, Social Works, which is phenomenal. It's in person. It's more of a brick and mortar agency, a little more traditional, but we do mostly digital marketing. And then we also have the online university, and our team there is completely digital and remote. So as we were going through this 3rd trimester, it was like, what does this look like? Can we continue to have an agency from our house? I mean, we're going to have a baby. This is kind of crazy. And so it felt like we were like strapped into a roller coaster that was just going, and we had to figure it out. And pack the diaper bags and everything on the roller coaster.
Oh my gosh.
So one of the things we did was we actually got an office for the agency.
Oh, awesome.
Ever. So that gave us a little bit of separation and some space.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a team there. We have, I believe, anywhere from 5 to 7 people in the office on any given day. And it's great. And I stayed out of there for a while I had the baby and, figured out what it's like to start up again with a baby. On the digital side, everything is done through Slack, Facebook Messenger. My husband is actually the marketing manager, the directing manager of my university. And he's amazing at leading the team when I'm not fully present. So
I love that.
It was such a transition, but we have 1 business online, 1 business offline. And what the day-to-day looks like now is we're going into the office every day with a baby, Michelle. It's so crazy.
Oh my gosh, crazy. You're like, this is part of me, but this is new. And like, how do I adapt to all these different things?
Totally. So every single day since we've had Dominic, we've spent more time at the office as we figure out what makes sense, what he's comfortable with, what we're comfortable with. And now I'm finding every day when we wake up, I'm like, I want to go to the office. I want to go hang out with everyone. And there's so much energy in the office that it gets me jazzed about the day.
That's fantastic. I was just at whatchamacallit, at Dubsado with Jake and Becca and hanging with them doing a podcast episode. And it was so much fun. And they were explaining kind of like why they started an actual physical office and the camaraderie and them enjoying like being able to go into work and then step away and go home and be with the kids and all that. And the kids come into the office too, of course. Yeah. But I think that there's something so special if you're able to actually like get offline and meet with your team in person. So I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's interesting, every person knows whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. I am like 100 extrovert. I can almost always be around people. I always feed off of people. It's kind of crazy. And what I found was when I was spending a lot of time at home, that's when I started to feel like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can balance the business and the baby. And it feels so hard. The second I got around my team, it was like that energy was back and we're playing games in the office and we're telling jokes and laughing. And suddenly we were producing so much more as soon as I got back in. It was like night and day difference.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, what a cool thing. So diving into today in terms of what I think that you're brilliant at, obviously, is social media. And I think a lot of people, they work so hard on building their business, getting that baby out there, you know, creating their funnel, creating their products, and they're so exhausted. And at that point, they're so, not to like offend anyone, but in a way, because I've been there too, desperate to make an income, that in a way, a lot of people just want to give up. And this is whether you're just launching your business or if you've been doing it for years and not feeling your following grow. So can you address that pain point and then maybe give them a couple of great starter tips where if they're feeling totally burned out with social media, it can kind of refuel that fire and give them a couple of actionable steps?
Absolutely. So one of the things most people don't know is I've started several different courses, initiatives, projects that have completely failed. And the reason that most people don't know those is because I shut it down once I sense there's this weird resistance that is wrong.
Awesome.
And that's a huge part of the process. So if you're starting your project and you're feeling discouraged, which everyone feels, I think, especially when you're not making money from something you're passionate about, there sometimes can be an easier option that gives you a revenue runway. This is kind of interesting. Michelle, you work one-on-one with clients as well, right?
I do. It's not my predominant part of my business, but I do run a membership where I work with a small group and then I do courses.
I love it. So one of the things that I found early on was creating a runway of revenue gave me the peace of mind to be able to say either I can keep going with the project or shut it down. So what that looks like is different for every single person. For you, it sounds like it's the membership working with that small group of people in an intimate manner. For me, it was working with clients one-on-one. And awesome. I knew if I had that revenue going, I wouldn't be as discouraged if a course, if a project was a total bomb, like if it totally fell apart. So I've been able to create and disassemble businesses faster than people even know what it's called. But if you believe so strongly that a course that you're working on is worth putting out there, it's worth fighting for, it's worth continuing to push past the resistance, and you're seeing a little bit of traction, but not as much as you want, the biggest thing that I recommend is, like I said, getting the revenue runway so that you don't rely on that course to be your only source of income. That gives you kind of the freedom to pivot a little bit and find where that path of least resistance is. Another thing I find as well is usually people get burnt out on social media when they feel like they're speaking in a different voice. And what I mean by that is you're emulating the people that you see succeeding. Not a bad thing. It's great to find inspiration. But I find that the path of least resistance often comes when you are exactly you. So it's a process. Finding your own voice is scary, it's vulnerable, but it's something that honestly brings people to you like a magnet, because there's more people who probably struggle with the same things as you, wake up for the same reasons as you in the morning, they can't sleep at night for the same reasons as you. And when you put those out there, it brings those perfect people into your sphere of influence.
Beautiful. I so agree. And do you feel like there are specific channels that work better for specific personalities? Because I know a huge question is like, well, I feel like I have to be everywhere at once and I can't. So where do I just focus all my time on Facebook or Instagram, or I know it's technically not a social media channel, but like Pinterest, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. the crazy thing is there is pressure to be everywhere. I feel that too at times. And the reality is, unless you're Gary Vaynerchuk and have a full team managing all these different platforms with and for you, it's not really possible for everyone to be everywhere. So what I actually recommend is a little different than what most people say on social media. Most people say, if this is your avatar, go on Facebook. If this is your avatar, go on Instagram. I'm going to say something a little different. Find the social media platform that you love. Michelle, you probably have one that you prefer over all the rest, right?
Yeah, I think I have the most fun with Instagram. I enjoy like logging into Planoly and like planning things out and all that. And I know that like people react to me on Facebook and that's great, but I definitely enjoy the visual presence of Instagram.
Perfect. So this is a great example of where Instagram would be the best place for you to start really building your business. When you have fun with social media, it is so much easier to hop on. And if you're hopping onto platforms that you're not passionate about, it's really hard to keep them growing and keep consistent. So what I recommend is find the platform you love and build your following there. It literally, this is so crazy. I know people who have built massive businesses using Reddit or Quora.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. So really you just pick one or two that you love, and you can build a business as long as you're consistent and excited about it.
Awesome. And how do you balance what you talk about? Because obviously you don't want to be pitching, but how do you make sure that people know about what you're selling and know about you? Because I know for me, a lot of people are like, well, you don't really talk about your products or your mastermind or your courses enough. And I think it's because I do have that hesitation where I'm like, well, I want to provide a lot of value. I don't want to just tell you about what I'm offering.
Totally. So I have these 3 E's that I follow. It is educate, entertain, and I'm blanking. Oh my gosh, I've got total baby brain. Educate, entertain, and...
That's okay. We're going to go back because there was a hesitation in the signal. So I'm going to ask it again. Okay.
Perfect. Even better.
Awesome. So Ryan, cut. Okay. That's my editor. So in terms of social media, for me, I know that I struggle with knowing how much to sell and how much to give value. And I know that some people are like, Michelle, you need to talk about what you do more and what you offer more. And I'm like, I feel like I just need to provide value first. So what would your advice be for those people that are listening?
I love that. So there's 2 different ways that you can do it. The way I personally love to kind of balance between value and selling is this process called the 3 E's. So it is educate, entertain, and engage. And I spend most of my time on those 3 E's. Notice there's nothing about selling there. Sounds kind of crazy. Then there are 2 different ways that you can focus on selling. My personal favorite way to do it is to keep all of my organic social media as sell-free as possible. So I actually don't pitch on social media until I bring in my paid advertising. That's where I let my paid advertising bring people in once they're ready. I don't like to push people away with organic social media by always pitching whatever the sale is, whatever the latest course or idea is. So I use my paid advertising as my sale. It's kind of interesting, but if you do rely on organic sales and that's something that you need, I love what Gary Vaynerchuk says with the jab, 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 right hook. So how I would look at it is educate, entertain, engage, and right hook it. So now you're going to pitch a webinar, your sale, whatever it is that you have going on, but bring them in after you've delivered those 3 hits of value.
An interesting question in terms of when you bring out your advertising. Do you like doing that more on Facebook or on Instagram?
Definitely Facebook. I love Facebook. I think that the analytics are phenomenal. I will say I don't mind using Instagram as a placement for my Facebook advertising from the Facebook platform. But I just know that the analytics are so much better on Facebook. So I don't really jump into Instagram advertising quite like I probably could.
Gotcha. Well, I think that that's very interesting. You know, I'm starting to, I've dabbled a little bit, but I'm starting to get much more serious with my ads. So I'm always curious what's working for people and what strategies, because I've brought experts onto the show. They've said like, stick with the big 5 in terms of your advertising and your location. And like, I kind of rebel against what everyone tells me to do. Yeah. And I've found incredible success targeting much broader than that. And for some strange reason, when I look at my analytics, when I see like someone in Indonesia has signed up, like that brings me so much joy. Do you have a similar like rebellious spirit?
100%. And this was one of the craziest things in the whole world. I still remember, I won't reveal who it was, but someone told me to never target anyone other than those big five, the big five countries, because they're not worth targeting. And it's kind of interesting. It sat funny with me because I was thinking, wait, so you're telling me there's only 5 countries in the world that we can target and be successful? And not only that, we can only deliver value to 5 countries. I felt the same way. And that really bothered me. Like, it actually kept me up at night. So I started targeting other countries and just seeing what happens. And to date, when I look at the analytics in my membership, Social Media United, we have 70 different countries represented, which is so exciting.
That's amazing.
And that to me is like one of the greatest honors. I mean, these are countries I've never visited, and there are people who are meeting up and having get-togethers because they were connected through my online membership. It blows my mind. So my first big test was to test the Philippines and see what happens. We have like 70 students from the Philippines. So when people say, don't target the Philippines, it's not worth it, I'm like, define worth it. What if
you're like, that's 70 members. Like,
yes. I'll take all of the people from all the countries that other people deem less worthy, because I know that there are people, they have the same desires, they have things that keep them up at night, things that wake them up to get going in the morning. I think you and I are similar in that then. We both get that super exciting feeling when you say, oh, someone from a country I've never been to or even studied.
Even know about, or can even pronounce. Like, I've been super humbled where I'm like, where is this? And I have to look it up on the map. Like, it's super embarrassing, but so exciting because it opens up your worldview. And I think it's so narrow-minded to think that there are only 5 countries that are, crying out to step out, either brick and mortar or in the online space, to change their own lives, to change their own finances. Like, I don't know. It's such an exciting topic for me. So I'm thrilled that you're similar. And for anyone listening, if this is something that you've been struggling with, and maybe you have taken those courses or seen those webinars that give you that standard operating procedure, feel free to branch out, be instinctual, because you don't necessarily always want to follow trends. You want to just go with your gut, because if your gut's telling you to do something, it's probably for a reason.
And I have a great story about this too. This blew my mind. And this is the one that I hold on to that will keep me forever saying, I see the value in targeting every country and delivering value. I have one student who lives in Malaysia. We actually have 14 students in Malaysia, which that one was interesting because I was like, Malaysia? Wow. We don't never talk about Malaysia in the United States. I want to learn about Malaysia. So in Malaysia, the average wage, don't quote me on this, but it's between $300 and $400 US per month, which isn't a lot. It's very small. And my membership is $49 a month. And I have this student who joined, and she brought her income from being in a 9-to-5 to having her first $2,500 US month. So it transformed her life, and she's a single mom. And that to me was like, this is so much more impactful than what we can even do in the United States. This is phenomenal. And that to me was like, I will never listen to the masses again when they talk about the big 5. It's just so cool.
I love that story.
Thank you.
So amazing. Wow. Awesome. So now I'm curious, because you got up on stage and you received an award at Funnel Hacking Live. And I want to hear about that experience. And I want, for the people that are listening, they may know about ClickFunnels, they may not, and you can feel free to research that on your own. And we'll put a link below, but it's a software that I use. It's a software I'm passionate about. And I know a lot of people are starting to understand what funnels mean. They're starting to put their products together, but they probably look at it and go, how on earth do you leverage this to be able to get a 2 Comma Club award? So talk to us a little bit about your experience and how you started getting on that, like, what is it called? That propeller to start getting to that level.
You know, it's really funny. When I look at the contrast from Funnel Hacking Live 1 year ago, a year and a couple months ago, and then this one, it was like night and day difference. So Funnel Hacking Live 2017, I was sitting in the audience, and I just remember feeling like, I want that success. I had had some success, but it didn't feel like a massive impact. The word million didn't feel like it was in my near future at all. And I was watching it and I was thinking, these people have honed in on something that makes sense, that is working for them. there has to be something I can get from this. And most people actually don't even know this, Michelle. So I'll share this with your audience and with you, but I couldn't afford to join the inner circle when I did. I took out a working capital loan and I made it happen. And I remember,
good for you.
Thank you. My accountant was like, "You're not ready." And I was like, "No, I need this."
Absolutely.
I need to figure out what all of these people have figured out. And basically it all comes down to what I found in .com secrets and expert secrets, but then figuring out what that looks like for my business. So as I sat down and broke down each of the different things, the attractive character, what a true value ladder looks like, how this knocks the water or knocks it out of the ballpark for, businesses. What is it that's different about ClickFunnels? That's where I started to see, I think I can make this work for me. And so I just started to implement. Everything was imperfect. Imperfect action beats perfected ideas that never get implemented every single day. And I just started to implement step by step. It was actually at FHL 2017, I pulled an all-nighter and sat there and built out the funnel that ultimately brought us massive success and brought us the 2CC. I wanted it more than anything. And I was determined that if I invested into the inner circle, I was going to see a return on that investment. And it happened starting at FHL.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? So then you come to Funnel Hacking Live last year, or 2017. What happened? You coming in there, so different, a totally different person, receiving that award. I'm trying to remember. Funnel hacking was in November, right? So it was 2017?
It was actually February 2017.
Okay, so 2018. So you walk in, you've had this achievement, you're in a different status because now people, like you said, were running up to you, like you didn't even have time to go to the bathroom. What did that feel like for you?
So I'm
to know that you'd done it.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, oh my gosh, realizing like the word million, that is mind blowing. It's something that you don't ever really believe can happen until you achieve it. So to take that snapshot and see, oh my gosh, we've made $1 million in our business. That was mind blowing. And then as I started to review the past year, the highlights were kind of crazy. I thought the highlights would be like that first day we had the massive spike on Stripe. It wasn't that. The big highlights were visiting Puerto Rico and bringing water and light to people who were affected by the hurricane, gifting my in-laws with a new car, new to them, not brand new, but gifting them with a car for Christmas. That was life-changing and amazing. Those were the moments that stood out over the past year. And as I got on stage, here's the bad and the ugly. As I got on stage, it wasn't the feeling I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this like cry your eyes out moment, but it wasn't this like moment of fulfillment. The fulfillment had happened along the way. And what I realized is as we go on towards, what's next, maybe it's one more 2CC award, maybe it's 3 more, maybe it's the 2CCX. I don't know what that looks like. If I don't see those milestones where I've helped other people along the way, you get there and you do not feel fulfilled. So in that moment, on that day, I decided I want to help a client hit the 2CCX. I want to help 10 clients hit the 2 Comma Club award. So ultimately we will have helped people to generate $20 million in their businesses. And we're already on track for that for this year. So I'm very excited. I mean, fingers crossed we get close. That's where the biggest fulfillment is, though. It's really funny. You don't get on stage and receive your award and go back home and everything is perfect. It's really funny.
That is interesting. I actually brought my dad onto my podcast season 1 because he works in the film industry, and I find so many similarities between the film business and entrepreneurship. It's very interesting. But I was talking a little bit about that, and he said, well, someone told me once that it's like you're climbing a mountain and you have all this anticipation of getting to the top, and it's all about that final goal, and you just are kind of suffering climbing up the mountain, and then you get to the top and you realize that there's nothing there.
Yes.
And that it was all about the journey. And that's always stuck with me. And I think that it's so beautiful that you brought up that the revenue isn't just the revenue, it's the facilitation of change. Yes. And that's such a beautiful part of it. And if you're listening, let this motivate you. And you can go back to season 1 and listen to Adrienne Dorison's episode when she talks about giving back to grow your business. But if you don't have those goals now, and if you can't put $5, $10, $20 to that every month, like you may get to the top and just not feel that fulfillment. So put that plan into action now. Start dreaming bigger on how you can actually impact the world, because it will come alongside your mission with your money and produce beautiful results. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. The other thing, I love that analogy that your dad shared. That is one of the most perfect analogies I've ever heard. If you're listening to this and you have gotten to that point and you're like, wow, now I'm alone and I'm at the top of a mountain and I didn't absorb all of the lessons along the way, turn back around and look and see who's climbing the mountain and start to encourage them and help them to get back up. It's pretty powerful, and that will bring that fulfillment to your life.
Oh, I love that instruction. Yes. Okay. So you're getting to the top of that mountain and you're dealing with some stuff along the way. And one of those things can be you're building your social media following, you're building your email list. There are people out there that are not that receptive or are kind of hunting to bring you down. And I know you get this question a lot. So how do you deal with any negative feedback that you get via email, via Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be? I know that Arnie Giske was just talking about someone that like purposely went to his page and gave him like a 1-star review or something ridiculous. How do you handle that?
So it happens a lot. And the natural instinct is to say people can be so mean. And I have to almost like step back and be like, no, people can be so wonderful and people can be so good. There are certain people who choose to harm and hurt and throw rocks. And it's happened a lot. I'll be totally honest. The first couple times that it happened, I wasn't prepared for it. And it hit me really hard. There was one day where I actually like live streamed into my Facebook group crying because I was like, there's so many people saying so many mean things and I'm not prepared for this. Like I didn't expect this. I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
But the reality is when you ask for visibility, you're going to take the good and you're going to take the bad. And it just comes, it comes at you when you're least expecting it. So one of the biggest things
Absolutely.
and I decided who was going to be the trusted voices in my life. And those people are the one whose opinions I listen to. The rest, maybe you kind of take some feedback, but for the most part, you can't listen to the masses. You have to be so careful to protect yourself from those opinions. I think about celebrities. Your dad has probably experienced a lot of celebrities, or you've maybe experienced celebrities where they don't expect the reviews they're going to get. Maybe the movie and the world hates it. You can't listen to that. You have to keep going. That doesn't mean you stop making movies. That doesn't mean you stop posting on social media. One of the things that surprised me, though, was definitely people attacking my physical appearance. It comes up a lot. And, there's one thing that it comes up over and over again. And I think it's really funny now. But they would always say, like, you have a massive forehead. And there would always be these big jokes about it. And so
that's all they could come up with,
right?
Is that you had a big forehead.
But here's the thing. My forehead holds this massive brain. It has to be big. I'm joking. But I had to kind of recognize, okay, this was something I was insecure about in middle school. Does that mean I'm going to get bangs? Does that mean that I don't wear my hair up? Does that mean that I succumb to that pressure? And the reality is, I don't care. I have to decide to not care. There are going to be insults that come your way, and you have to decide, am I going to let it keep me from producing that next movie, posting on social media? Am I going to let that influence my decision to get bangs? And the reality is you just have to keep being you and recognize that most people don't even think about the fact that your forehead is big or whatever it is that people choose to throw rocks about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a couple things to also address this. The things that have really helped me is actually just one word. And I ask myself, so, ? I go, so? And I actually have it on a Post-it on my wall because I was bullied very heavily in middle school, have had weight fluctuations, all that kind of stuff. And of course, very painful. Of course, you go through that and it kind of mars your future relationships. You have to get over some obstacles. And so you're going to encounter that here. It's going to sting. And that one voice that's negative is going to outweigh all the other positive people that love and adore you. And so what my husband would make me do when that would happen, and it has happened recently, and and he's like, okay, yeah, it's fine. Okay, now let's go in and let's look at what everyone has said in the group today or in the mastermind today, and let's get your mind back on the right track. And the second thing that I want to talk about for the people listening that have this fear, because especially with live streaming, this is a huge fear that, negative things are going to be pointed out. You have to remember whenever you're talking to someone, unless they've done massive amounts of self-growth, then they're just not really bothered by anything. Most likely when people bring that negativity to you, they're not even talking to you. They're triggered by someone in their past. And so that's who they're reacting to. And it can be so hard and so painful because our humanity wants to go, well, to you and shut them down or be defensive or whatever. And what's really helped me step back from the personalizing of that is just to remember they're not even really talking to me. So I can react in kindness and grace, and then I step away because I don't deserve it. But if you can do that, more likely than not, then what's going to be attracted to that person is opportunities where they can see that behavior, step out of that, feelings part of it and go, why am I reacting like this? How can I change this? Yeah. And if you can give someone that grace, the beauty of that is it's going to come back to you. And that's what we want.
I love that so much. That's so good. The idea that it's not about you. And that's kind of a nice burden off of your head. Like, it's like, whew, this isn't even about me. Awesome.
Yeah, because you look at it and go, they may be pointing out something that you're insecure about because that's everything that their mom pointed out to them all growing up. That's all they can see. So if you're struggling in that area, those are a couple of things from Rachel and I that might help you to just step back and go, it's worth being brave to do this because any negative feedback I get isn't really even about me. So yay.
I love that. Right? There was also, I remember hearing this once, and this kind of blew my mind. So I have this newfound respect for all celebrities. And I know that sounds kind of funny. In the past, we're raised to kind of judge celebrities, right? Mm-hmm. It's on magazines, it's on, social media. And I found this like new respect for anyone who puts themselves out there in a way towards their dreams. And celebrities just come to mind because I think, wow, that person did it. They overcame their own fear. They overcame the hate. They overcame, any struggles along the way and made it happen. Massive respect. So it's kind of funny, but the song Baby by Justin Bieber?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. Because of my husband. Don't tell him.
I won't tell him. It's okay. It's a fun song. It's really teeny bopper and all that. That song is the most loved song on YouTube. And it is also the most hated song on YouTube. So it has the most thumbs up and it has the most thumbs down. And that
interesting.
It was this amazing realization of if you want to be loved by the masses, you will also have masses that don't approve of you. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not about you, but at the same time, whenever you decide to become massively visible, you will have tons of people who will love you and you will have tons of people who don't. And that's okay.
And that's really interesting because what's so fascinating about entrepreneurship is like, I told my husband the other day, we went to Lori Harder's book signing and Lewis Howes was there. And I was like, oh my God, it's Lewis Howes. And he's like, who? This is the only industry that most people don't really know about. And there are celebrities, but only inside of our entrepreneur space. And so that can be a wonderful thing because for the most part to the world, you're incognito, but it can also be a challenging thing because there's not the same rules as there isn't the same distance like there is between celebrities and fans usually, but there is that struggle. I mean, we started the show Pretty Little Liars where the girls went from being no one to just an insane amount of fame, like stalker fame, like people breaking into Warner Brothers and stuff like crazy. And it could be very painful for them. There were days that, there were these huge haters and they would be in tears. Like these are people too. So of course, this can be a very challenging topic, but if you're listening, know that it happens. And I love that point that you said that it's the most loved and the most hated song. And it's honestly, in a way, it's like natural selection. You're not going to appeal to everybody and there's going to be people that don't like you. But if you can be so focused on that one person in Malaysia that gets to change their life for the better, then, oh my gosh, is it so worth it? Be more obsessed with being that forward moving train than looking at what's around you.
I love that. That gives me tunnel vision most days.
Absolutely. I love that.
We need music on, maybe like Baby by Justin Bieber, but I don't.
Yeah, I'll like put it really low. And then iTunes will be like, you stole it. It'll be really exciting, right?
Yeah.
Well, I so appreciate you coming in today. And I know that you have an awesome gift for our listeners. So chat with them about that and where they can find you.
Super fun. So I know you guys in Michelle's awesome audience and listeners, you guys want to get visible, right? Who doesn't want that? So one of the things that I did early on in my career is I intentionally went viral. So I reached 11.3 million people. My social media post was shared on the Today Show, Glamour Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Inside Edition called us up. I still remember when Ashton Kutcher shared my post and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened so far in my life. So I actually went viral, like I said, and I wanted to share with you guys kind of what that looked like and what happened through the process. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly. We got a free Sealy mattress through the process. Hello. But I wanted to share that with you guys in my viral case study, which Michelle is going to share the link with you guys for. The viral case study shows you everything that we did and what it looked like on the inside.
Beautiful. I can't wait to look at that. I'm going to go download that now before anybody else. It's going to be great.
I love it.
It's been so awesome chatting with you, my dear. Thank you for taking time and congratulations on your newest blessing. So ridiculously cute and just so excited to see what you do in this next year.
I'm so honored that you had me today. This has been a blast, Michelle.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. So go and download that. Remember to subscribe to the show. Leave us a 5-star review and find Rachel on all her social media handles, which will be below. Tell her what really impacted you about this episode. We are all about connecting, learning from each other, and knowing what impacts you the most. In the meantime, we will see you next week.
Perfect.
Bam. If you're wondering how on earth does Michelle stay organized, have her website in place, and build out her funnels, I want to introduce you to the software that I could not live without, and it's called ClickFunnels. You may have heard of it in the online space, but it's something I am very passionate about because for me, I need a lot of flexibility in my business. I need to know where people are going, and for me, linking up lead pages and Teachable and Squarespace and using a hosting site and Samcart was just too many tools. I needed one thing where I could log in and build my site, my sales pages, take payments, my affiliate centers, and manage my membership and courses. And that has been ClickFunnels. So if you're interested in getting a 2-week free trial, please join with the link below, or you can go to bit.ly/Michelle ClickFunnels. And no, you don't just buy it and never hear from me again. You can email me at hello@visibilityvixens.com and I will grant you access to the private group, which gives you detailed instructions of how to build your ClickFunnels account, as well as ask me any questions you have along the way. So I will see you on the inside. Feel free to join at bit.ly/Michelle ClickFunnels. I hope you loved this episode as much as I did. Now we're all about building a tribe here at The Visible Entrepreneur, so be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and then head on over to the Facebook group. It's a great place where you can practice your video, live stream, and really enjoy the community that we have built. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next episode. Now get out there and get more visible.
That's a wrap.